Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Toonkind at 12 FPS. I am Cartoon Kitsune, also known as Kit, and I will be playing Minty in this FPS. And joining me today is...
Hi, everybody. This is Snailcomicz. I play the ever-beloved Snalien, who we have not seen nearly enough of in the past, you know, forever, but that's fine because we're getting to see them right the heck now.
Yeah, hey, better late than never, right?
That's what I always say.
Absolutely. I mean, heck, I took a long hiatus from games for a while, so I know what that's like.
You are so valid. Self-care, everybody.
Heck
We're
yeah.
starting this with a self-care minty.
Yeah.
It's important.
Remember to take care of yourselves, everybody! Alright. But yeah, so getting into things, I think we wanted to start out just kind of like briefly saying like how these two met. So as those of you who have listened to other like games with Minty, you might know Minty a while back. She came to Inkwell and has become the studio therapist. And I think like the engineer probably would have introduced Minty to Snalien and Short's kid pretty early on because I mean there's kids, and Minty was very excited to meet them. So.
Yeah, Snalien was definitely super excited to meet the bunny, not
Hmm.
only because they share styles in like ear protrusions, antennae. She was
Absolutely.
a little confused about the fact that Minty's protrusions were ears, even though many people's ear protrusions are smaller. She
Hmm.
definitely thought they were antennae for a little while. It took sort of a conversation in order to get that all understood, but she's got it now. Don't worry, guys.
No, that's valid of her. Yeah, Minty would have like kind of shown off her ears. They're kind of like the way it's not always clear the way I draw her, but they're sort of like bean bags almost, like just kind of floppy. She can like lift them up a little bit, of course, like if she needs to hear better, but usually they just kind of flop down.
It's about the relaxed pose versus the pose that's funniest when you're startled.
Absolutely.
So I feel like Snalien, definitely for a while, like met Minty. I was excited to meet Minty,
Hmm.
but didn't like necessarily seek her out initially. But there's
Hmm.
definitely as time has sort of gone on with the studio, she's definitely been like uh what's a therapist? What do you do around the studio? I know that we need a therapist, but what does that mean? What does that mean?
Hmm.
And the moment that she learned that Minty had not yet been to the local library,
Hmm.
oh, unacceptable.
I know. I mean, come on, you gotta go see the library. And of course, like Minty, when Minty heard there was a library, she was very excited to go check that out. I mean, though to be fair, she's pretty excited to see like basically everything, like in Toontown when she's gone on around. Like she'll see like a stop sign on the street and just be like, "Oh wow, what is this? Oh, it's such a pretty
Well,
red color."
it's a gorgeous red color. So you'll notice that it says stop on it. It's to make sure that when the horses and the cars and everybody that's going through Toontown gets to this intersection, they make sure to stop all the way so that nobody gets like run over unless it's really funny. And you'll notice it has like eight sides. The reason it has eight sides is because all of the other signs that we have that are like related to road stuff don't have that many sides, so it looks distinctive.
And she kind of nods along. I think she might know like like some of that stuff, like about road signs, but like even though she hasn't really seen them in person because they don't really have cars in Blissland. So
Mhm.
yeah, she's definitely the type to like just let Snaley go on because she loves to let kids like just explain this kind of stuff. 'Cause kids always get so excited when they're like, "Oh, I know this thing. Let me explain this. I know this." Like it's just always so cute.
Well, Snalien will do that in spades if Minty lets her. So I assume that it's quite a long walk to the library,
Oh,
even though it's
absolutely.
no less than 15 minutes to get there
Yeah,
if you're normally walking, even if you're a
definitely.
very small snail.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, can we say that Snalien's like riding on her head because Minty would absolutely let her ride.
Very important establishment. Yes, Snalien is right up there between the ears.
Hmm.
It's incredibly important that you know Snalien is right up there and having a blast.
Amazing, and it's a very soft place to sit because, of course, Minty, like the rest of her body, just incredibly soft.
Snalien definitely like sometimes gets derailed from a thought just to like rub the fur. Um,
Aw.
and that's how Minty learns that Snalien's slime is only either sticky or slick when it's funny.
Makes
Most
sense.
of the time, it's like on her body but doesn't drip everywhere.
Makes sense, yeah.
Excuse me.
Right. So yeah, so I think after a very long walk and a whole lot of talking, which both of them definitely enjoy, they arrive at the library.
And Snalien like hops off Minty's head in order to use the force and make the doors open. Magic, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It's actually just automatic doors, but let her have this. Let her have this.
Oh, absolutely not.
Um,
No, Minty like gives her a little like round of applause, like, "Wow, good job."
it's amazing. It's because of electricity and a lot of other complicated stuff, but welcome to the Inkwell Library. You can tell that Snalien like wound up in order to make a big yell and then remembered that they're not supposed to be loud in the library, so like last minute made it a very, very quiet whisper.
Minty gives her a little, I would say thumbs up, but she doesn't have fingers, so just a nubbin up. Like good on you for
Snalien
remembering that.
understands the nubbin up. Snalien is able to do the nubbin up back. Uh,
Yeah, Minty nub and shake, Snalien not having fingers.
it's important.
It is.
All right, so Snalien probably would like immediately start zooming as quick as her little snail body goes. Like, this is the front desk. It's very important you know that these people are super nice. Never ever feel like you can't ask them about stuff. This is the information desk. If you need information specifically, not stuff related to like general library stuff, this is the place to go. They know about pachycephalosauruses. I didn't know what that was until I came here. All right, so here's where all the books are. You can see that they all have these weird little numbers. They're a very special system that goes along the entire library. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
Feel free to stop her at any time, Minty, because she will
absolutely.
not stop herself.
And I'm going to let her go. And I think one point Minty will like make up, maybe interject, like, "Oh yeah, I know about the system. We've got a little library at the castle over in Blissland, where I'm from. Though this place is quite a bit bigger."
Does it use the same system?
She nods. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good system to keep everything organized. Maple is definitely thinks it's a good system. Oh, by the way, Maple's the librarian over there. She's a Blisslander like me too, but she's a bird.
What kind of bird?
Sparrow. One of those pretty brown ones with the little beaks.
We have sparrows here in Iquo. And Snalien is like definitely thinking in a prime position to be scooped up and placed back on the head, but like thinking hard, like, how is it possible that these two different places have the same library system and the same types of animals?
Well, I mean, we've got lots of different types of animals in Blisland. There's kitties and dogs. There's bunnies like me. There's monkeys. One friend of mine is a dragon. Not like a big dragon, but like same size as me. But they're a dragon.
Dragon. Snalien is trying so hard to be quiet as they whisper, I'm friends with a dragon! I'm also friends with a dragon! How is this possible?
Whoa, you know a dragon too? That's so cool. What's their name?
His name is Gregory. He's super long. Like, if you have a Larry, he's like 3 Larrys long if you stack them all up next to each other. He's called a long dragon, but he's a celestial long dragon. So he's from the stars. He lived in outer space like I did. And he's super smart. He always beats me at 3 dragon ante and dragon chess, but that's okay. I don't mind losing. I just like spending time with him. He can only be summoned for like an hour if I ask very, very nicely. But if he's like physically, well, so the thing is, he's like light years away. So ask him to come over here at any time, but if I need him to be like here, it would probably take at least a decade for him to actually show up. So it's just easier for me to use the spell and blah 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 blah. Once again, Snalien is going off.
Yeah, and again, Minty's very happy to listen to her. I think like the only time she'd interrupt would be like maybe like a kind of like lowering her paw gesture, like in case Snalien's getting a little too loud. Only because like when you get excited and talk about stuff, your voice gets a little louder sometimes. So it's good to be reminded of that. But aside from that, she'll just very happily listen.
Yeah, Snalien is absolutely guilty of getting louder as she gets more and more excited. So she definitely needs that gesture at least once, if not more than once, as she rambles.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's right.
Eventually, though, Snalien does sort of lean back and sort of go, okay, now that we're at the library, and apparently the library systems have the same code. What kind of library book are we looking for? What do you want to see?
Golly, I mean, there's so many different options. I definitely like to check out the storybook section. Those are always good. Oh, I wonder if they have a section with psychology books. I've been thinking of trying to study a few more of the ones around here.
Psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know what that word means, although people have told me that's the thing that you do.
And that Minty kind of lights up because, much like Snalien, she is very enthusiastic to like explain this kind of stuff, like explain stuff to people.
Oh, well, psychology, it's so more or less it's the study of the mind, but in my case, it's as a therapist, it's also you study ways on how the mind works and how it functions, and then if you do my job, then you use that knowledge to help people with the problems more or less.
Oh, so like how when you do the special talking thing, you make all of the penguins feel better when they're having like big emotional issues?
Yep, something like that. Oh, golly, I'm not sure where to begin. There's definitely a lot to it. Would you like to learn a little more about it?
Yes, please! Snalien is like starry-eyed, super excited. They're super excited to learn this thing that they'll definitely understand in a single go. Definitely.
Absolutely. I think in that case, Minty, like she kind of looks around and I think I should roll something to see if she finds the the section where they'd have psychology books, or should I just go for it?
Roll for it, just for fun.
Yeah, just for the fun of it. I'll roll survival. I think that makes sense. Nope. Okay.
There you go.
And that's an 8, ladies and gentlemen.
Oof. Maybe Snalien needs to pitch in with
a little bit of help there. Because she knows the system, but again, like this is a different library than she's used to. So,
let me see. Would it also be survival for me? I'm wondering if maybe history.
History would make sense because like you've been here before. So
yeah.
Survival's more like navigating a place that you don't know super well.
That's also an 8.
Both got an 8.
Okay, how about this? Between the two of them, they eventually stumble upon it.
Yeah, it takes a little while and they get distracted a couple times, but eventually they manage to find it. They put their 2 entire brain cells together.
Wait, Minty has a whole brain cell?
I know, crazy, right? Well, see, she's the responsible one, so that's why she gets the brain cell.
Ah, yes, understandable. Have a nice day. All right, so they definitely have like 3 comic books and a book about the food of Inkwell in their midst as they finally stumble across the psychology books. What's Minty looking for? What's the first book that draws her attention?
Well, she definitely spends like a minute or so, like kind of like browsing through all the titles and seeing what there is. She definitely spots a couple that are like much thicker, like college level textbooks that are definitely a little bit too advanced for Snalien at this stage, since she's just starting out learning about the stuff. But eventually, she comes across one that seems a bit more simpler, like sort of like a basics kind of thing, like basic psychology concepts for someone who'd just be starting out learning about that stuff. I don't know if that maybe be like high school level, or because that's like the earliest I can think of.
Could definitely get through something that's high school level. Part of the thing is, like, Snalien is a weird little bean because they'll completely be super advanced in, like, one field, and emotionally, they're pretty, mature, but then they're just random divot points where they have like basically no understanding. So like generally if you throw something at them that's not like too high level, they should be able to at least know enough to understand it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's kind of like I don't know if you ever seen the meme from Dan Versus, where like he's got a really weird patchwork of knowledge bit.
Yeah,
it's like he has this really specific fact about Mount Rushmore, but he doesn't know which state it was built in. So
yes, that's basically it. If you're thinking like precocious preteen, or it's weird because like she acts very young, but for how young she acts, she knows a whole lot and is fairly emotionally mature and stuff like that. It's that nebulous kid age that is a lot that's actually pretty common in Inkwell, but I figure is not actually as common other places.
And makes sense because like again, like people from Blissland, that's basically what they're like, because like they're the size of children and they're playful like kids, but they also have like kind of the knowledge and maturity of an adult for like when they need to be like that, so they can kind of be both at the same time in a way.
Yeah. I just love this. They were meant to be besties.
I know, right? They just have so much in common. It's wild. But yeah.
So Snalien is on Minty's head, looking over the book that Minty's pulled out, like, okay, I'm gonna learn the learning techniques, and I'm gonna be able to listen really good and fix all my friends anytime that they have any issues ever. Let's get ready.
I think Minty definitely kind of like winces a little. I don't know if Snalien can see it since like she's on her head right now, but she's
well, let's slow down a bit there, kiddo. We don't usually use the word fix. In this line of work, it's more about coming up with strategies to help people work through their issues whenever they have them.
Okay, don't say fix. Say strategize and help work through. Okay, I can do that.
And she gives her a nubbin up, and let's see. Do you want to roll intelligence to see like how much of this like Snalien absorbs like the first like couple chapters or so?
Sure.
I'd say give advantage because like Minty's gonna be kind of guiding her through. Like if she has any questions, Minty will answer them.
All right. All right. I will take the first roll, which was a 15 over
That's pretty good.
6. That was also there. So we'll take the 15.
All right, that's pretty good. Yeah. And again, like it's only one afternoon, so like, and it's still a textbook, so you're probably not gonna get through too much of this. But I'd say like starting out with Snalien gets like into the basic concepts. I'll admit I'm struggling a little to like remember like what you start out with, because like I took AP Psych like years ago, so.
I think like one of the primary things you start out is like the biopsychosocial concept of anytime that somebody is having a mental health issue, it's not just like one thing, it's a mixture of all three of those things.
That's right, yeah, now I
So
remember.
try to figure out like what part is biological versus what part is what they're going through internally versus what part is environmental.
Exactly.
I think that's where you'd start out.
Perfect. Yeah, now that'd definitely be a thing, because it can be there can be multiple factors to like somebody's like mental illness. It can be just biochemical, like what your brain chemistry is doing, not having enough serotonin or dopamine, like how your brain produces that. but it can also be just the situation. Like if you're in a situation that's really stressful, then that can like accentuate any issues. And of course, there's also like inheritance to think about too, because like you can
Mhm.
inherit those things from a parent, for instance. I'm not sure if that would be the case with tunes, because parentage can be kind of weird, considering tunes can kind of just spawn out of the ether sometimes. So it really depends on like who it is.
There's definitely at least one tangent that they both like talk about. Okay, but what is nature versus nurture, and how
Mm-hmm.
much does it affect tunes? Because how much are tunes actually affected by nature, considering stuff? Would it all be nurture, or is there still a biological element that
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely at least one tangent, if not more, where they both go, tunes could really advance the study of nature versus nurture if there was a way to
Mm.
like make a control group, but there's no way to make a control group because you can't there's no way to control every factor of somebody growing up.
Exactly,
Like,
because some tunes have parents, some tunes are just spawned because like somebody creates them or like they have a role to play, that sort of thing.
and some tunes don't even like have a childhood. Most tunes have a childhood, but some tunes are literally born
As
ready
adults.
for the thing. So there's
Yeah.
definitely like another tangent that goes into how
Mm-hmm.
nobodies and how nobodies actually have been raised into that, but also like, is it also natural for that? There are many tangents. That's
Exactly, yeah, and then
what
there's
I'm
case,
trying to
and of course
say.
there's the case of people like Bob who like when they're around people and how like the concept of character development in tunes. I mean that's got to be a thing. Like just by being around other people, that's kind of the nurture aspect. Just like interacting with people can like just change you so much. So it's definitely a
I would
factor.
say definitely during this point,
Mm-hmm.
Snalien gets to the place where she can admit that technically, um, from the way that things have gone on, she's discovered that she's a toon, but she's not from Inkwell. So that's part of where the weirdness comes in, because like
Mm-hmm.
most people who are toons in Inkwell came from Inkwell, or at least came from this realm, but Snalien's from a totally different place. And yet, when she was in this place, now that she has family and so forth, she had her first redesign, which is sort of like basically the closest you can get to physical proof that she is a toon. But she
Right,
never
yeah.
had a word for that because
Mm-hmm.
there that wasn't what you called it back there. And
Mm-hmm.
here's the part where I admit that she's really kind of cagey about details of where she's from. Even as she's trying to describe something that's like immediately related to it, she keeps on just finding little workarounds to not talk about where she's from.
Hmm. Real quick, I'm gonna roll insight just to see like how much this Minty picks up on.
Please do. If you would like a bonus to that insight, oh, you have an 8, so
Yeah, no, I
that's
kind of built her around that, so yeah, that's a
very
12. So I think
good.
she probably. You think that's probably enough to pick up on that, or
I would say it's enough to pick up on that, but not enough to pick up on why.
yeah, that makes sense. Like, I think Minty would probably like when she does realize that she's avoiding talking about her home. I think she'd probably just make the decision like to not pry too much into that, but like she kind of like tucks it away in the back of her mind for a later date. Is like maybe that's
Like every
something.
good therapist does.
Exactly, yeah. Like there's no need to press her on that, but like if it ever like if there's a reason to, or she thinks like, hey, maybe this is causing Snail some distress, she might like be like, hey, do you want to talk about this? But for right now, they're just like having a friendly conversation, so she won't bring that up. Mm-hmm.
So at that point, they've got like 2 chapters into the book, or 4. I think we said 4 actually.
I think like
Like
2 to 3
they've gotten a
maybe.
little bit of way into the book.
Yeah, again, like it's like not as complex like a college level one, so I think they could probably, and plus like usually the first like couple chapters are a bit on the shorter side in my experience. So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Okay, so if there is the biopsychosocial thing, and you gotta like determine which among the three it is, and it's also like kind of complicated because sometimes it can be all three,
mm-hmm.
then how do you know? Like how do you listen so good that you can figure it out?
Well, that's the thing. It can be very tricky. But that's part of what therapy is all about. because you sit down and you talk with the person, you get to know them, and you hear about, and of course you write down their symptoms and and you learn about what might be causing certain issues, and of course like there's the process of diagnosing someone if they don't know what's going on. Because sometimes people will come in and they'll have a problem, but they're not sure what's causing the symptoms, for instance. And I will admit that I'm a psychologist and not a psychiatrist, so I don't know. Because sometimes when people have issues like that, they need medicine to help the chemicals in their brain to work properly.
But that's where you would like be able to like send them to a different kind of doctor, right? So you would still be like a good starting point, even if you can't help with like that part, right?
Exactly. Yes. Once a patient is diagnosed, in my case back home, you can't really refer them to a psychiatrist because they're just kids. Usually, what we do in those cases is ask them to talk to their mommy or their daddy or their guardian to get them tested for that sort of thing. Yeah.
But you could the fact that you like did the testing doesn't count because the kid won't remember the way that it worked, right? Snalien's definitely like getting just a little confused, like they're mostly following along about what Minty has said, both about the psychology and about Minty's past, like what it's like in Blissland.
Yeah, because she's talked about
but they're
that
definitely
before.
getting a little confused in the lines.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think she kind of looks like a little like actually roll an insight on that. Yeah.
I will roll insight. And here's the part where I finally get to use insight when it's not breaking Dora Z and almost ruining the game. I will still yell at myself for that. Because Snalien has an insight of +5.
That's pretty good.
And they got a 22.
Yeah. I think that's what I think that might be what Minty had before her recent level up when she got like when she got another bard level and got like extra expertise. So that's pretty good. Yeah, so a 22 you definitely pick up it's very subtle but there's almost like kind of like her brow furrows a little bit, and there's also kind of like a little bit of frustration, like almost like kind of that thought of like, yeah, it's really kind of a shame like I can't do more and that like I'm really limited in certain aspects again because of the way Blissland functions. Like there's only so much she could do. But yeah, I think after that she kind of continues on.
I guess I haven't explained like all the details of the whole memory loss part of Blissland. I'll admit it can be a little confusing. But from what I understand, I think basically the kids, they remember all the important stuff, like if they learned any lessons. But they just can't remember Blissland itself, or well, they can kind of remember it, but it's more like it was a dream rather than something real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it like was real, but the way they remember it is so they don't get attached because you're, was it a goddess or
Deities weren't gender neutral. That they
deity,
we
yes.
refer to them with they them. So
yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
That was my bad. I'll remember deity. The deity wants to make sure that the kids don't like get so attached that they try to sleep all the time, because they also gotta like learn from what they did and put it in their real life.
Exactly.
Right?
That's right. Yeah, you get it really well. Good job, Snalien.
Oh, well, thank you. Snalien is definitely like puffed up, and like, well, it wasn't that hard, but like, you know, they're definitely doing the kid thing where they're flouncing around.
Oh, absolutely. No, Minty is just delighted by this. She thinks it's adorable.
Snalien is pretty darn cute. I have to admit this.
She's very cute.
And Snalien's like, okay, but so that's what you did there, but what you do here is different, right? Because, well, like, Snalien sort of like gently touches Minty's paw and is like, you're here. So they come back to you, right?
Exactly.
You're not gonna disappear to Blissland, are you?
Oh no, of course not. I mean, I do go home sometimes. I don't live at the studio all the time, because I want to see my friends back home, of course. But no, you guys aren't going to forget me because, well, I'm here physically. Forget. I guess I didn't mention that part. So when people visit Blissland, it's they don't physically go there. Like their bodies are still asleep at wherever they fell asleep, but it's more like their mind goes to Blissland in what's it called? An astral projection? Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
And
Glad
so-
you don't disappear.
Of course not.
And I think she kind of reaches up and gives Snalien like a comforting little pat on the head.
Snalien is definitely like, Dad really likes having you around, and I know other people like having you around. And let me be clear, I like having you around too. Don't think for a second I'm saying I don't like having you around, because you're super cool. I just don't know you as well as Dad and the others do. So I'm glad that you don't disappear for them, but I'm also glad you don't disappear for me.
She keeps going and going. Meanwhile, it's Minty's turn to blush a little bit. It's like, aw. Like she's just
It's
happy everyone
important
likes
that
her.
Minty knows they matter.
Aww. These two, it just like aggressively compliments you.
Are you read under Snalien's MO?
Oh, absolutely. Again, like these two, they just have so much in common. It's wild.
So Snalien eventually
Yeah, I will
gets
say
back to the
real
point.
quick though, if I can interrupt. One
Right.
quick thought. Yeah, when she's saying like,
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to forget any about you guys. Or wait, no, I mean, I wouldn't want you to forget about me.
and she kind of stumbles over her words for a moment, and she, let me see, what should I roll? I think, yeah, wisdom saves is what we were doing for these rolls. So
Yeah.
okay, that's very good.
Dirty 20!
Nice. Okay, yeah. So good news is she doesn't get a headache, but I think with that roll, I'm wondering if like she should. Maybe she remembers a little more of that, like not anything significant, but I think as she's kind of thinking about what she said, like I wouldn't want to forget about you guys. Like she goes quiet for like a few moments, and if Snalien kind of leans down over her head, she'll see that her expression's kind of a bit more pensive now. Like she's kind of struggling to remember something. Like
I, Snail, am definitely leaning forward in my seat. Sadly, Snalien does not know what this means, so assumes she must have accidentally like said something wrong. So she's
no.
like, okay, so with the talking through things here, you'd be able to refer, I think is the word they use, refer to another doctor if it's like pure biological.
Yeah. I think Minty's kind of lost in thought for a few seconds, so she doesn't react immediately. But then she hears Snalien talking and kind of snaps out of whatever she was thinking. Kind of glances around, like, "Oh, what was I doing? Yeah. Yes. So that's actually kind of the nice part about being the therapist around the studio is that if someone does have a problem, I can just refer them to somebody else. And honestly, that's been making therapy a lot easier for everyone I've been seeing so far. So it's been kind of a nice change in a lot of ways. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love working at Blissland, but well, I mean, I guess part of the reason I did want to come Tankwell for a bit and be this therapist at the studio was because I kind of wanted to change to, help more people, because I've been helping kids in Blissland for bunches of years now. But, I mean, this way I can help even more people, which I've been really, really, really happy about.
You're nice. Has anybody told you that, Minty? You're just really nice.
Oh.
Snalien is definitely like getting tears in her eyes, not full on crying, but just like
Like kind of the goofy,
You're just-
over emotional tune kind of tears, yeah.
you're just nice and good, and you care about people, and people need to tell you that that's important.
I think Minty kind of like plucks Snalien off her head and kind of like cuddles her to his chest for a moment. If Snalien's cool with that, like just give her a little hug.
Oh. Snalien loves hugs.
Aw. And Minty's just like, aw, thank you so much, sweetie. Aw. And don't worry, I got plenty of people who tell me that all the time, like all my friends back home, and even some people in the studio, and my girlfriend Belle, she tells me that all the time. Oh, she's just the best. And she's got little hearts floating about over her head now 'cause she's thinking about her girlfriend.
Well, now you've got one more person because you gotta know. You gotta know. There's the dam breaking. There's the cartoonish tears. It lasts for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's fine. There's a like jump cut and it's fine.
Snalien definitely says like, so is there ever a time that you've had somebody that's like just had biological issues? Because, like, the book made it seem like oftentimes they're sort of, like, tied together.
And I think Minty kind of nods, like, yeah, definitely a few cases of that. Again, it depends on what the illness or the disorder is, depending on the person, and of course the treatment can vary quite a bit.
And the development disorder is like from birth. It's there, right?
Yep, that's right. It's usually it's something you're born with, and typically, well, there are a lot of factors. There's that
can go into that. I think she kind of launches into like more of a like kind of medical focused thing about like genetics, but also like maybe in a brief mention of like like when you're born, that sort of thing, like stuff that when you're before you're born, like that kind of stuff. Yeah, which is definitely interesting because like you have this cute little Care Bear looking bunny like just going into this like really technical talk.
It's good. It is unfortunately followed by Snalien going, so like sometimes people are like born with that stuff, but we can still help mend them with the therapy.
Yeah. I think like Minty kind of pats her on the head, like, you're doing a good job. You're definitely trying, but like, you're still learning that kind of stuff.
Like, well, I think in the case of people like that, it's more about teaching them strategies on how to, live the best lives they can, even while they have those developmental disorders. Because honestly, it's not a bad thing that someone has one of those. It just means that they have to live their lives a little bit differently. And they're a little different from everybody else, which, I mean, to be fair, everybody's a little different from everybody else.
How do you like what if somebody doesn't know they have a developmental thing? They just know that they've always been kind of different. What do you do then in theory? Hypothetically.
I'm gonna roll insight on that again.
You don't need to roll insight. That you're a therapist.
Yeah.
You can get a gauge. You can roll insight if you want more, but you can already tell what's going
I think
on.
She's got a pretty good idea, but just for fun. That is a 25.
A dirty 25. Okay.
I reiterate, Minty was built for one thing.
So Snalien's definitely been thinking as you two have been talking, and there's definitely a part of Snalien that is going, so something's not right in the up here. Gestures to this Snalien brain.
Yeah.
And I've never thought it was anything besides me. But if there's something that isn't me that is part of the bad up here, how do you diagnose that?
Right.
Hypothetically.
Definitely. And I think Minty just kind of does like, while Snalien's like rambling away, she kind of does a side glance at the camera for a moment.
Very good.
And then she kind of looks back at Snalien.
Well, if theoretically somebody thought that they might have something like that, I think the best thing would, personally, I would recommend them to schedule a session with me, for instance, and we could talk about that. And if they were somebody younger, it might be a good idea to have their parent there too, so that they could talk about it as well. And basically, we just have a consultation. We go over what the symptoms are, maybe any difficulties they're having in their lives, or I don't know, oddities. It's not the best word to use, but something like that. And then I'd write those all down, and usually for cases like that, I'd probably consult a book there because there's a book that lists all the different possibilities for disorders like that. And then once I'm able to diagnose the person, then we can work on strategies on like how to best cope with that. If they need medicine, or if there's just certain things about their lives they need to change to make things easier for them, that kind of thing.
But what if the thing about their life already has changed for the better? Does that mean that you wouldn't be able to diagnose it ever, or you would like need to have them back in the old scenario to diagnose?
She shakes her head.
No, not at all. Well, again, see, the thing about these disorders is that, well, usually it kind of depends on the severity of it, for instance. Because sometimes you might have, like, something like ADHD, for instance, but it could be a very mild case, so it doesn't really affect your life in any significant way. And so you wouldn't really need to get a diagnosis of that. For instance, though, personally, I think it is good to diagnose that sort of stuff, just so you know, because honestly, I've found with a lot of the kids I've met over the years that just knowing what's going on up here,
And she kind of taps her head.
can just make you feel a lot better, just because it's not some strange, nebulous sort of thing that you don't know what it is. You know what it is, and Talia, I'm not sure if I'm explaining it well, but it's just kind of better to know, you know?
Yeah. And if it's not, Snalien sort of like stutters over their words and they're like at themselves, like, come on, say you can say it. You just have to like say it. And they're like, part of the thing because of the fact that it's like a social thing is like it's not even it. Let me try that one more time.
Pats her on the shell, like,
It's okay, sweetie. Take your time.
Something might like sound like a developmental disorder or genetic, but it might still be because of the social situation that they were in, because it ticks off different marks in the big book.
Something like that?
she's kind of trying to figure out what Snalien means by that.
And again, like, there can be some overlap, of course, like, between certain symptoms. Again, that's why it's best to, talk a lot about this stuff and take a good bit of time to diagnose properly. Because if you do diagnose it wrong, then that can lead to more problems. But with my patients, I try to be as careful as possible to make sure it's accurate.
If somebody was, say, unsure about where they sit on some of these things, would they still be able to do the listening part and help other people?
Oh, of course. I mean, just because you have a disorder like this, that doesn't mean you can't live a normal life and do, like, all kinds of things. It's just something you have to learn to live with, but you can still, like, you can still live a perfectly normal life, even if you have something like that.
Okay, cool. Do you think that we could borrow this book from the library?
Of course we can.
Snalien is definitely sounding just they're like trying to talk normally, but they're still sounding just a little more fragile. Just like they've been vulnerable and are now trying to sort of like reclaim the territory. Like I'm definitely okay. I haven't exposed anything just now. I'm good.
I think Minty's like kind of she's collecting like all the books up to like kind of put them in a stack to like get ready to go. But as she's doing that, she kind of sets them down for a moment, thinks for a second, and then kind of turns to Snalien again and is like,
I was wondering, do you think I could possibly share some of what we talked about today with your daddy?
Uh, Snalien is looking anywhere but Minty. They're clearly They're clearly thinking about it, but they're unable to eat Minty's eyes as they're sort of like twiddling their nubbins with each other, just sort of like thinking. But then eventually they do sort of like wind down and go, I guess that's okay with Dad.
thank you. And she nods.
You can also tell Larry, but don't tell Short's kid, okay? I don't want them to worry because nothing's wrong. Of course, they're young and younger.
Of course, yeah.
They've already got their whole thing with Toontown, and Snalien is definitely trying to talk over the fact that they've said yes.
Aw, yeah. I mean, she just kind of nods and lets him go.
Of course. And again, I'm not going to pressure you into any of this if you really don't feel comfortable telling anyone about this right away, and then that's okay too. I just think that sometimes it's good to just tell a parent about this kind of thing because, again, they're older. They might know more about certain things, and it's just good to have somebody else to help and bounce ideas off of. So and you do know that just you're a part of the studio too. So if you ever want to schedule a session with me, I'm always open to whenever I have an opening in my schedule, of course. But I usually manage to find an opening. And hey, if you want, you can bring your dad with you too, or Larry, or anyone you want. If you want a little support, that's what Tally does. She brings her dad with her when we have our sessions.
Oh yeah, Bob's the best.
Mm-hmm.
If I was Tally, I'd definitely want Bob with me too. Thanks, Minty. If you wanted to get any of the adult books about psychology, you can. I know that you got this one for me, so if you want, I can sit on the books and you can get one of the ones that'll actually help.
And she nods like,
I think I'm okay on those for now. Maybe some other time. I kind of wanted to check out one of these fairy tale books that I saw back in that other section.
Yeah, it's super cool. This one doesn't have dragons. I have read it before. I promise, no secrets, no spoilies, no spoilies. Well, except for the fact that it doesn't have dragon. There's a dragon on the cover. You would think it would have dragons, but it doesn't. The dragon is a metaphor, which is stupid because it should have dragons, but it doesn't have dragons. And this is probably what we like lead off to as they go towards the kitchen counter, and the camera slowly pans back.
Yeah, as they check out their books and then we pan out. And yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. Yeah, that was really fun.
That was so fun.
It was so adorable.
How have I not been constantly playing games with you, Kit? I grab you out of Bash and say, "My city now."
Yes, I have been abducted. This is happening now.
I mean, obviously, you can actually still do stuff with Bash, but guess what? You've been enlisted.
Yeah, no, I've been really happy, honestly, to like get back into more like Toonkind server stuff after like taking such a long break from it, and like getting to play a game with you because like I don't think we haven't played a game together before, have we? Like just the two of us? Or...
We've played a couple, but it was focused on the witches and Luton. So I don't think that we ever played like Minty and Snalien before. I think this is genuinely the first time.
Yeah. But again, like it was fantastic playing with you, and like our characters, like they got along so well. I mean, holy cow.
There's definitely going to be at least one more follow-up session, if not many, but we'll figure out about scheduling another time.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I don't know if we want to get Mod in on that or just have it be Minty and Snail again. Like, we'll figure it out, but like I can definitely see a follow-up session.
Guess what, Snalien? You are getting therapy.
Yeah. Also, I think I should probably put a disclaimer. Like, I know it should probably be the beginning, but I might as well put it here at the end. That I'm not like a psychology expert, and so apologies if like I was using terminology wrong or something. Like, I do know some stuff, but I'm not an expert, and And like also don't take my advice as like, you know, like if you legitimately have like an issue you're dealing with, like go contact an actual doctor, please.
Yeah,
We are just the
don't
funny
put
cartoon
pressure on
people.
Kit. We're doing this for fun, not for diagnosing actual issues.
Actually, we're just the funny cartoon people who roll the dice. Please don't come to us with like actual medical problems.
If you do, we will once again send you to a doctor. So just listen to us
Exactly.
right now as we say,
Please
go
do.
to a doctor.
All right. But yeah, so I think
All right, thanks.
I'm gonna stop recording
Thanks
here.
everybody
so.
for listening. Thanks again, Kit, for being willing to do this with me, and also for in doing this with me signing up for at least one more doing this with me.
Absolutely.
I am having too much fun to let it go.
No, I want to continue this. I'm definitely very intrigued with Snalien now, and thank you so much again for doing this with me. Like it was so fun.
Yeah, I loved it. All right. I don't think there's anything left to do except say bye, everybody!
Bye, everyone!